Hi, this is Dean Jackson. Welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. Now, if you hear some background noise, I'm actually in the Qantas Lounge at Los Angeles Airport, and I'm on my way to Sydney for a Breakthrough Blueprint in Australia. It's my fourth time over to Australia, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the people that I love to hang out with in Sydney. And this week, we've got a really great episode. I spent some time with Mike Russell, who has a business that turns dentists' waiting lounges into an opportunity in the during unit, while on average people are waiting in the waiting room for about 8 minutes, apparently. They've created this really great system where you can play videos that are not overtly selling videos, but educational videos. And, we talk in Profit Activator 3 about educating and motivating. And that's kind of what these videos, the way Mike explains them, do. Now, it's a relatively new adventure for him. And one of the things that we talked about is how do you get the word out about something that's new? And we talked about the idea of doing pilot programs and of documenting results so that it's easy for the dentist to see the impact of using these videos in their waiting lounges. So I'm pretty excited about this episode. I think you'll enjoy it. And here we go. Mike Russell.
Hello, Dean. I should call you Doctor, I guess. Dr. Jackson.
Dr. Jackson, that's funny.
You're the doctor. Can you hear me okay? I'm audio video guy. I want to make sure you can hear me. I took my headphones off.
Perfect. I hear you perfectly. So,
welcome
aboard.
Yeah, thanks so much. I was delighted and truly honored to be honest with you that you'd take the time. I think what you do is fabulous, and this is certainly an opportunity for you to help, and you're just a very kind and generous person doing that. I don't know what you get out of this other than, but I think you're the kind of person who gets enough out of helping other people. At least that's my take on you. So,
well, this has been, the great thing about this, and we're recording this now. This is just this is exactly what it is. I mean, this is the podcast. The whole hour's here about just hatching evil schemes with you, and I think the more that we see, and I've recorded several of these now, but the more we see just the different ways that people are applying the 8 profit activators and before, during, and after unit thinking it really opens people's eyes. So I'm excited to be doing it. So it's energizing.
Well, good. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for allowing me to come on and just kind of pick the brains of the guru here. So it's
well, tell me what you do and what is working, and maybe what kind of evil schemes we can hatch today.
Perfect. Well, a quick bio, I guess, is I've been doing production or video production for, just in dentistry alone. This makes me feel old. I'm only 46, or so I'd like to think, a little bit older, but like 20 years now. And then I actually started in television out of college and was a TV anchor locally for a really small town, and then was doing freelancing, and then was just kind of, for whatever reason, somebody hired me to do dentistry training, CE, continuing education, so I did that. Mm-hmm. Did that for about several years, and then just really got hooked into dentistry. So it's very niche in that sense. So about 10 years ago, my wife and I started a company called HDIQ Dental, and it does the online training, because the company that I was freelancing for was making about $8 to $10 million a year on just my 12 videos that they were selling. Of course, they did a lot more of that. They would sell it, but we took it all online. And HDIQ Dental's been around so about 9 or 10 years, and it's been good to us. It's been profitable. It's and all those sorts of things. But to bring it full circle, I started getting questions from a lot of my dentists and friends who said, we want to have a video that plays in our waiting room. We want to be able to, talk to our patients. And I just started doing the research and just quickly, it went from what was going to be one or two videos to developing a full-blown, basically it's about the size of a Apple TV, but it's a media server, and a doctor plug it in. It's built with the same simplicity of Apple. Plug it in, and they're able to go to, our members can just sign on and add videos that we produce. And I want to talk a minute about the videos in 1 second, what makes them different. And then I think you'll like it. It's definitely more cheap.
Oh yeah.
And so they'll go on, they'll add like a playlist. So they want, if they do veneers or they do sedation or they do sleep apnea or they, whatever. Then again, this market's specific for dentists. The more profitable procedures and the ones that, frankly, a lot of the folks, patients just don't know. They don't know that they do, braces or something like that. So
right.
That is, and again, the market just being the idea that, the average wait time is 8 minutes in a waiting room, and these doctors are just missing the opportunity to it. And frankly, I thought it would be a lot easier sell and market than education, because education is our stuff on HDIQ. You've got to get someone who sees the need in it, and it's redoing that. But
yeah, I've done a lot of work with a company in Canada that does continuing education, Kathleen Bacrossi, with she's got RDHU for dental hygienists. They do the training, and the big trigger, the biggest trigger we found was that they get audited for their continuing education. Like they've got to have 25 hours a year of continuing education and keep their what they call their portfolio up to date. And so we did a whole little campaign around when the audit notices go out, and that really was a tremendous thing. So
I remember that. What's funny about, and not to get on HDIQ, though it's still going, but it's just really springboarded into this other, the waiting room videos, which has had a really good reception by folks. But, people go to HDIQ. We don't do the typical videos where it's a guy, talking, standing. It's all chair side. It's over the shoulder. So it's high production value, which is what I love doing. So we find people that come to our site, even though we offer the CE and all that stuff, I'd say 80 to 90% of them just don't even take the test, because they would just assume instead of spending $4,000 to see a guy, can spend $137 a month and watch however many guys they want. But anyway.
Exactly. So the idea is that this is kind of a during unit optimizer for the dentist, in that they've already, these are people who they're walking in the door. Part of that during unit experience for the dentist involves, once people get there and check in, they're in the waiting room for, on average, 8 minutes, if you're saying. Okay, and these videos that you've produced are something that play on a loop for that period of time. So people are being exposed to other opportunities, things they might not even know that the dentist offers.
Right. That's very good. You did a lot better than I do. One other thing I just want to mention, or two other things real quick on the videos. And again, this is really where it's up your alley. This isn't somebody coming out and saying, "Did you know we do veneers and here's why you need to do it." These are testimonials of people that I've gone around the country and I shot real people, and it's telling a story. And so it's not saying, you need to get veneers. It's a conversation starter where they're going to go back and maybe they're going to talk to the hygienist and say, "Hey, I didn't know you offered that. Tell me more about that." And again, I follow your philosophy. This isn't to close the sale. This is just to get them to open the conversation,
educate and motivate. Right.
And the other one thing I'll mention on that, which kind of makes it unique, is the proprietary stuff that we've built. It's really cool, and not to get on the technical stuff, but it automatically puts their logo on every video. So on Monday they may have people coming in for veneers or whatever. They can go that day and assign, I want this video to play here and there, so it's completely customizable. The logos are on all of the videos. Their logo is automatically burned in there, and then so they can, it looks so the people don't know that it feels very custom to them. And the other part, you may want to dig down a little deeper on this, but we do a meet the team video, which is very popular because the two most popular sites on any dental website is Meet the Team with the Doctor and About Us, and usually sometimes an office tour. So this is something they send us just still shots, and we voice it with our professional people. And just so this is Mary. She enjoys skydiving, and ask her about what book she's reading. So that's been a really popular, very custom feel. And again, they can run that twice, 2 times, once, whatever.
Right. So better than just running CNN on a loop or the Kardashians or something.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. And so how does it work? How does it work in terms of results? Have you been doing it long enough to have a track record yet?
Yes and no. The short answer is no. We're soft launching it, and we've done. That's one of my questions. I got a list here of some questions for you. But when I go out and speak or talk to other doctors, be it at a doctor's office, and I don't mean speaking in the sense of like you do or something, but maybe I'm there shooting a video and they're doing a conference. Well, if I get up and speak, and we've had 2 of these events, 2 events where I've just kind of gone, and there's maybe 20 docs per deal, and it is not uncommon. In one event, we got 18, the other one we got 16, just on concept alone. Mm-hmm. So just telling them about it has been very good, and then it brings us full circle again to today. We're going to start really kind of the full push, the full marketing, but we've already had a larger company look at wanting to invest and partners and stuff like that. So I think we're on to something here, Dean. I just don't want to mess it up.
Oh, yeah, I got it. So part of it is how many offices are these running live in right now?
Oh gosh, less than 50.
Okay, so that's enough. I mean, how long? What's the longest that it's been going?
4 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, it's new. It's literally hot off the press, as they say.
Okay, so just in the first 30 days. And what's sort of the anecdotal reports from the field so far?
Well, here's the good and the bad. The good is great. In fact, we even had a guy do a video testimonial for us and just send it to us on his iPhone. The bad is, and it's not bad, and this just goes to humanity, is we try to make it as simple. They literally have to plug it in and enter a serial number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are going, well, where are the videos? Well, you haven't turned it on yet. And so we have to go through that. And I get blue in the face. We send them, and we purposely load. That's one of the questions. A couple of videos on there for them, so they have something when they plug it in. It's the, don't have to charge the batteries philosophy. But I'm wondering if we should just put a video on there that says, hey, congratulations, welcome. Don't forget to log in. So
well, I wonder, part of it is you might want to put, and it's a great thing, one of the things that you might want to do is on the actual package. Like when what does it come in, a box, or is it shrink wrapped, or is it how?
No, it's in a box. We haven't gone the full blown, but I really do want to as closely copy that Apple experience, because once it goes in, they never have to touch it. It's one and done.
Okay, perfect. So here's the thing: is that what you've got is an opportunity to put a sticker on the package that says, wait, before you open this package, call and listen to this free recorded message, or listen to this, recorded message here. And you could do just what you're saying. You could say, like, imagine that you were standing there right beside them, and you could say, okay, congratulations, you're one step away now. Here's all you're going to do is you're going to plug it in. It's very easy. It's follow the simple directions, just step by step right there. And what you need to do to activate it is you need to log on to here, and you need to do this, or take this step, or click here, or whatever it is. That would be a good thing to help with the compliance,
Okay. Do you find that is more, because I read that, and that's one of my questions, actually, you jumped ahead, is the 800 or the call, the recorded message, do you find those more effective than going to the website, or as effective, or what?
Well, listen, they're opening up the package. They're in front of the TV. They're not at their computer right now, right? We want to, they're ready to plug it in and get it activated, right? That could be the thing. You want to make sure that are there like illustrated instructions on what to do to actually get it plugged in and activated? Like how crystal clear is it when they open that box what they need to do?
Well, I like to quote Tom Cruise, it's crystal clear, but I've discovered that nothing is ever as crystal clear to the creator.
Okay. And this is where like having somebody, having an opportunity to kind of look over their shoulder and just kind of assure them that they're in the right place. Like it seems like there's two steps. Two parts of it is hooking up the hardware, but then hooking up the software is probably going to be very helpful with a with video tutorial or video screen sharing,
Yeah.
And so that two parts, if there's a special website, like right on that sticker, if you're saying call this number, then go to listen to this message, and then you can have the number that they need to enter right on that, whatever form indicates their serial number or whatever. Tell them where that is, and then just ease them into going to the website and getting
both options.
Yeah.
We do have a user's video, a little screen capture that I've done as well. It just shows. But as far as hardware, it's plugging in an HDMI and plugging in a power, and then it does it. And
how long does it take to set up?
3 minutes if you're slow.
Right. Okay. And so the other option is, to have it that it could be even because it's like the faster this gets plugged in and up, the faster everybody's winning. Right. So it's a critical. It's a critical step that, can cause friction at some point. How many of the 50 that are out there right now would you say are running into that situation that they haven't? I'd
say about a quarter of them have yet to do it, and again, that raids into the major question: getting in touch. When I've been doing this 20 years. With the decision maker, in this case, a doctor who's behind a receptionist who's not going to do it. So we've sent emails and we run into it all the time. And I'm sure you have a pat answer, but what we need, is them just to do this one step, but we can't get in touch with them after the sale. How do you do it?
I wonder, is there a way when you're making the sale to have the contact person, like to say we know you're not going to be able, you don't want to deal with this, but who's the person right here, and then have them, copy the,
and we do
have their email.
We do that, but
you do.
We do that, and here's in some of these, not all of them. There's no pat answer, but generally speaking, the person, if it's Susie at the front desk, once the doctor's bought it, it's another task on her. Already full plate, and so we've done trying to give them gift cards to go eat and whatever it is to get them to get involved in it. But it's unimportant, and it was designed at a great cost to make it stupid, simple, and there's so. But that question also goes to the after the implement. I know we're just in the before, but getting to the actual decision makers at times is definitely a challenge.
So let's talk about what happens with the ones so far that have activated it. So if they've you've got people who are out there with 30 days. Or so. No, so not many people have had it out and streaming for a full 30 days. Maybe.
No, not a ton. Yeah. Maybe half of those.
Okay, so 25 maybe or so.
Yeah.
What's gonna make this really go is start tracking the return on this, to start tracking the results. And so, do you have a mechanism or a way of being in contact with people to track what's actually happening? Have you got any even anecdotal evidence of, hey, we got 3 people signed up for veneers, or we got somebody to sign up for,
we've had some
whatever.
Anecdotal evidence like that from that guy. There's another one out there, but another company that does something similar, but it's like an animation of a tooth and an implant. He said he's had patients already come back and say how much better they said they hated that other stuff. So, but that isn't to the point of your question. And my thought process on that is,
preference doesn't matter. You can't cache preference. Like that's like somebody say, well, I sure like that you're playing Gilligan's Island now. I haven't seen that in ages, but that's not going to make any difference, right?
So I'm trying to come up with a way that will allow us to get access to a pool of patients, a small enough pool to actually survey them and ask them the questions that we need to ask. We run into HIPAA, compliance and some things where we've got to do that, or perhaps as simple as sending the doctor some pre-made 50 postcards that just have the options and maybe they can see it. Or they could send it back to us, but I'm on the same page with you. I just got to come up with a solution that works. I'm encouraged to hear you think that's at least I'm headed in the right direction with giving the evidence based.
Well, you got to have the evidence, because right now, how am I going to gauge and evaluate the decision that you're asking me to make here, right? Like you're saying, it's how much is it to what's the economics of it for me as a dentist?
There's 2. If you go yearly or you go monthly, it's $179 a month if you do that, and it gets cheaper if you do the year or 2. Which oddly enough, but most people who have done it have really signed up for the 2 years, and it was about $3,500 for the 2 years, and that saves them over $1,000.
Okay, and so are they paying up front the $3,500, or are they paying $149 a month or whatever?
They pay up front. With the other, they do monthly on the other.
Okay, so it's either $170. So it's either $179 a month or it's $3,500.
Yes.
And you're saying so far, the majority are taking the $3,500.
That may be a stretch. I would say, and my exaggeration may be in the surprise of people willing to do something so unheard of, but unproven. At least a quarter, if not a half.
Okay. All right. That's good to know, too. Now, what we have to look at is to figure out, what do I get for my $3,500 investment or my $179 a month? How long does it take till it pays off? How long till I get my return on this? And so they already have a TV in their waiting room, or they have to get their own TV for it, right? You're not sending them that, just the server.
Correct.
Okay. And what does it cost you to deliver this?
Well, the actual physical cost is, and I want to ask you a question on that. I'm not avoiding your question, but what I do is my time. I'm an editor, and so truthfully, I'd love to be as removed from all this other stuff as possible.
Sure.
So it's hard to measure my time into it and put a cost on it. If I put my time into it, it's going to be significantly higher. But if I put the hard cost, it's the server itself is about $200, and then we need to do the programming on the back end. Again, us doing it ourselves is nothing. Getting someone to do it is not. It's not rocket science, but it is detailed. It's about an hour.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit of room in there, if you will.
Okay. And so so there's not a lot of cost in getting it, getting it out there and getting it in there, getting them to test it. Now, I guess part of the thing is that it's unless you're setting up a situation to measure what is sort of going to be it's not going to be so overtly measured in that you don't know what people were going to do unless they specifically say, hey, I was watching your video and I saw that you were talking about this, which may happen, but it may just be that they ask about that particular thing.
Right. Or it leads to something else, or it's to the hygiene the doc never finds out. Yeah.
Yeah, without saying specifically that it was this that did it. Part of the challenge with stuff like that is making the sort of invisible visible,
Yeah.
And so we have a product called the World's Most Interesting Postcard, and this is for getting referrals. And what we found across the board is that this will, for our real estate agents, increase their referrals by about 50% or double. And what happens that the way we measure that is looking, I have a metric that we use in the after unit called return on relationship. Now, this will work same way for dentists in that we look at how many patients do they have, or with the realtor, how many clients do they have, and people in their sphere. We encourage them to get to 150 people that know them, like them, and trust them. And we measure in their after unit how much of their business in the last 12 months came from repeat and referrals. And we set that as the benchmark. That's the control. That's the number. That's whatever they did last year yielded this much, and we articulate it as a percentage or return on relationship. So with the realtors, if they've got 150 people, they had 15 repeat and referral transactions last year, that's a 10% return on relationship. And what we're seeing now is people getting up into the 20% and higher range of return on relationship. But the postcard that we send, every month we have a different note that kind of highlights a different type of referral that they might be able to give, right? Or a type of conversation that they might hear that would trigger a referral. So we might talk about first-time buyers, or moving up, or buying a vacation home, or investing in real estate, or downsizing, or building a home, all of those kind of things that could spur people to be on the lookout for those kinds of people. And what happens is that by doing this, we got a very specific format for it. We always say, just a quick note in case you hear someone talking about blank. And then we often offer, call me or text me and I'll get you a copy of my book, 6 Steps to Homeownership, to give to them that will help them through the process. So it's rarely as overt as somebody calling and saying, I got your postcard. I was talking to somebody that's a first-time buyer. Can you send me the book?
Right.
What happens is that is doing the job of presencing you in their mind in a way that is specifically looking for something, And so when you were describing the different types of treatments or different types of offers that the dentists have, whether it's veneers or implants or gum periodontal stuff, or if it's snoring, and a lot of people don't know that snoring can be helped with a dental apparatus. Just like you're saying, you're kind of educating people that if they're just coming in for a checkup and a cleaning and everything's fine, and they don't even know what the possibilities are. So presencing that, I think that what you're going to run into is it's not going to be as overt as, hey, I saw the video, I'd like to get veneers, but you've planted that thought in their head with the veneers, and maybe as they're starting to think that through now, months down the road, it may come up that this is a conversation that they have, and how you measure that is maybe looking at all of the ancillary kind of offers that you have, that's the whole point, that you're trying to use as kind of you're planting the seed there. And I think that may even open up an opportunity for you to help them with some maybe specific direct mail to their patients. What would be a typical roster of a dental office that you would typically go in? How many patients would they typically have?
Boy, you asked the one question I don't know that I have an answer to that, and it is I can tell you our typical target, but what you find in most practices is a room, or they used to be a room full of files, but they're not active files. So if they have several, and that's the whole point of this. It's to rubber meets the road, kind of be a little bit forward with it. It's per patient profit. This is because it costs, so much money to go get a new patient, $100, $300 and this is people who know, like, and trust you. I mean, they're already inclined to say yes.
Well, that's only going to help them. I mean, that's only going to, this is going to help and be an influence to the people that are coming into the office. So if you say, just like you hit it on the head there, let's say that I think it'd be probably reasonable to say 1,000 maybe in a dental office. That wouldn't be out of the question, would it?
No, absolutely not.
1,000 files. So of those 1,000 files, when you look at, and this is why I always start with a scoreboard. I never go into a relationship or a consulting arrangement without looking at what's the scoreboard here. How are we going to know that this is making a difference? How are we going to measure the return on investment in this? So and this is the beauty of the 8 profit activators, and before, during, after, is that they're universally present, right? They're happening in that business, whether they're consciously directing and applying them or whether they're ignoring them and they're just happening. It is what it is. But if we overlay on any dentist's business the after unit metric of return on relationships, and we say, okay, we've got 1,000 patients in your files. In the last 12 months, how many of those 1,000 people came through the door at least once and paid money for some treatment, whether it was just a checkup, a cleaning? And if you look at it, that there's some, you could rank the people, out of 1,000, let's say that 500 of them came through the door last year. And I'm just making these numbers up.
Sure,
let's just say that's what it is. It's probably not unreasonable to think that half the files in a dentist's office are inactive.
Right.
Okay, so let's say 500 of them came through the door. And if you were to rank them and say this number, this amount of money, patient number one, the patient who spent the most money with us, had implants and full on stuff, and maybe they spent $30,000. with us.
Right.
And then the next person spent $25,000, and all the way down to, these 200 of the 500 people came in for a checkup and everything was fine, and they went home and they spent $200 with us, or whatever it is.
Right.
That you're looking at that they've had some yield from their after unit, right? Now, some of those people who paid money this year are going to be new patients, right, who came through the door for the first time as a result of whatever it was that they were doing, or they were referred, or they just walked in, or, how many of the dentists are actually, proactively seeking in the before unit new patients and have a predictable way to get them?
Well, it depends on who you ask. There are a number of them trying to, but there's been no. It's a joke in dentistry. They say that it's a lifeblood. New patients are the lifeblood of your practice. In reality, it's not. It's just like you get people in Profit Activator, I guess number 7, if I'm not mistaken. Showing them the lifelong relationship and dentists.
Yeah, nurturing a lifetime relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't get that. They'd go spend $200 or $300, and the problem with that is they'll do the Groupon, the free bleaching, or whatever it is, and then these patients come in, but it's not the kind of patient that is going to have, a lifelong patient that spend $25,000-$30,000 with you. Not to mention family and others. So I get on my soapbox, and it's all I can do not to pull my hair out, but they need to realize that building the relationship long term and offering this even as a kind of consider this sort of a drip campaign, this always playing your, is going to have returns, but not to disqualify in any means your point of return on relationship. I've got to be able to show them that as well. So,
well, I guarantee you they don't measure it. They don't know what it is, right? And so for them to be able to look at it that way is a completely different set of goggles for them. They're not looking at. They're looking at. Well, my office. It costs me, $30,000 a month to keep my office open, and we're doing $70,000 a month or whatever in revenue. They look at. That's all they're looking at, not really breaking it down to where that's coming from, and they're typically just kind of as long as their net dollars, as long as their income's staying
that is
high.
That is a struggle that I've had with both HDIQ and I heard an illustration yesterday kind of in preparing for this, and I thought it was so perfect. It's the idea that right now there are tons of radio waves in the air, and we can't hear them. If we have a radio we tune into, we can hear that specific one. And it's getting these dentists to tune into your specific channel and help them understand that this is about long-term relationships, about talking to the patients who are, 8 to 10 times more likely to say yes. It's all those things that you teach, but how do you get them to see that? How do you take those goggles off, like you said?
Yeah, and that's it. It's an awareness. Sometimes awareness builds momentum, right? Where you can, get them thinking about that. And then if you look at the breakdown by, if you were in a retail store, you'd look at the SKUs and what would be the different SKUs that the dentist would have of where all of the revenue came from. If it's like, a standard, like a routine visit or checkup, and a cleaning, and fillings, and then you going on up to specialty things that can dentists do Invisalign, or is that an orthodontic thing?
Yeah, and it's one of the more popular ones.
That's why it's kind of a big hit, isn't it? Because you don't need to be an orthodontist to do that, right? So the whitening, Invisalign, the sleep apnea stuff, the veneers, the implants, the full cosmetic, the gum stuff, all of those things, if they look at all of those kind of, specialty services, that you're right. I don't think most people know about those kind of things, and to look at how much revenue they generated in the last 12 months from those items would be a valuable thing, right? If you're in a situation where when you're doing something new the first time, you're doing what I learned, this great new this term for it called an N of one study, where I learned that from Craig Venter, the guy who decoded the human genome. And what does he know exactly? When he was doing it, he was the only one, right? So he had nothing to compare it to. And so, they call that an N of one study, where you're over investing. And I may suggest to you that you need some allies. You need maybe 10 people who can, because you're already out into the field with this, and they're buying it without any evidence that it works.
Right.
So what I'm suggesting is that you are going to have an easier case with it if you can document very specifically what happens with maybe a core group of 10 people. And part of that would be getting the baseline metrics of how much of this extra stuff did you sell in all of the 12 months before we put the videos in your waiting room. And then, yes, and then, 30, 60, 90 days, a full year out, measure the volume of that extra business that you were able to do just with that,
Yeah, that's worth the price of admission. It saves asking the patient, did they do this? But you have everything's coded for insurance. Did they do this? And look at the codes from 1 month to the next and see, how they've gone up.
Yes. Well, you have to, and evidencing that. One of the things that I've really kind of been a big advocate for is the visual charts, like a return on investment chart. So on the bottom axis, you would have the months. So it would be, month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, or August, September, October, November, whenever they started. And then we have on the y-axis, the vertical axis, have the, that represent the money. Okay. Right. So over time, the first thing that they've done is if it's $179 a month, that means that it's, let me do the quick math here. 179 times 12 equals $2,100 and $21.48. So out on month 1, you put a dot at $179 up that axis, and then the next month they will have spent another 179. So the cumulative spend is going up, put to 358, and then the next month 179, and it's 537. So you're slowly on about a 20-degree angle, working your way up to $2,100 that they've spent in month 12. Okay. Right. Then what we're looking at, in addition to that, is now these extra, the volume of business that they're doing month after month on the on the ancillary things.
That
So
would be my question. Yeah. Measure those videos that they have playing. That would be your control.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could look at it. I would look at I'll draw one for us right here. So now I'll post it up in the show notes here. That, if we look at it now, it's August. So if we say September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So there's our 12 months. We've got this line going from September to the end of August, and that's $2,148 invested in playing these videos. Now, what I would look at is doing two metrics here. Like, so if you look at September last year, we had this amount of business came from, maybe you identify what are the, are there 5 or 6 things, 5 or 6 ancillaries, right? So you code them and you say, and this is a visual bar chart here, right? So you're looking at this, that last year in that amount of time, we did, do you know what they would do in a typical month of that? Let's just make up a number and say, $20,000 in ancillary things. And then we look at what happened this year. So it would be after a period of time, you may start to see that it's increasing. That's what I would be looking for is evidence that maybe the first month, it's maybe it happens right away, and maybe it happens 6 months from now on their next checkup. They bring it up because you've planted that seed of these of Invisalign, and then every time they look in the mirror, they see their crooked teeth, and they think, wow. I wonder if I should get these Invisaligns. And maybe they do some research about Invisalign, and maybe they're, you've planted that. Subconscious is at work now, building the case for these Invisalign, the Invisalign process. And then the next checkup, they bring it up, and that maybe that's got to be kind of how you're thinking it might happen, but you got to be able to now evidence that, and if you have 10 charts, it's like you're doing a clinical trial.
Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
You got to have evidence that we did 10 people, and all 10 of these people increased their ancillary uptake by 50% with doing nothing else other than these videos. And the faster you start that study and documenting it, the better it's going to be for you, because it's going to take you 12 months to get 12 months of data.
Well, I'm meeting with a dear friend of mine in dentistry tomorrow he wants to actually do the investment company, but he does $1 million in dentistry a month.
Yeah.
And he wants to do this, but he'd be a wonderful case study because he again wants to, but I also need to find the smaller practices who aren't, that large, but that's over several offices that he's doing, or no? That's one office with 4 dentists. You had to introduce you, got him offline, but he's a marketing guy who is also a dentist. But his answer is, he's just very much an entrepreneurial type of guy. The idea on that is though it's going to be, and I know it just being in dentistry. I also know that I've got to probably pick those ancillaries because I don't want to take credit for other things that aren't, because the reality is, this at the price point, and no one's said anything about the price. It's, if they sell one veneer case at $10,000, well, they've just paid for the thing for 5 years.
Right, exactly. So, yes, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. I've
got to be, as Zig Ziglar says, a reduction to the ridiculous. I don't want to make it so outlandish. I want to make sure it's, where it's to say that. I'm not, so it's going to be
No,
almost
I
seem like
understand. It's got to be believable, and it's got to be clearly that there's no other explanation for it. Like when I start, the first year we did the world's most interesting postcard, that's exactly what I was doing, was having people document. And so I know that the, subject number one was a realtor here in Winter Haven. And we, very carefully, we chose her top 150 and looked over the last 12 months. She had done 13 repeat and referral transactions. And her whole strategy for communicating with all of her clients was every December she would send a magnet calendar for your fridge, and then no other communication throughout the rest of the year. And she got, had a long track record of being in business and got a lot of referral and repeat business, but 13 transactions in the year before. And then we added the world's most interesting postcard, and in the 12 months following, she did 33 repeat and referral transactions. And that is fully, that's documenting something where the only change that was made was sending the postcards, So if you're saying, if we look at it, that these 10 dentists, they did this much volume in these 5 ancillaries, and in the next 12 months, when we highlighted them in these videos, they did this much in these ancillaries, where you're getting sort of really indicative evidence, because you can't have with a soft thing like that. No. It's not the same as doing a postcard campaign where you get responses and you can track specific results, Yeah.
No, I'm going to pick 10 new doctors and probably just give it to them for a year and just ask.
That was where I was going to say, is the next thing, what's valuable for you on that is that there's your cost to do it is very little. So, it makes sense that as you're doing this, like pharmaceutical companies spend so much money testing and developing and proving their drugs, and then when they get approved, now they've got a proven winner that does what it says on the tin,
Right. Yeah. So I think what kind of occurred to me when you're talking about the return on a relationship is I'm asking, you are too, I'm asking dentists to spend the relationship and not the money, basically, invest in what they already have.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get new and improved, whatever.
Right. And that's kind of, the thing is, there's not much they could do with $179 otherwise to make that kind of impact. And even if people are, playing Candy Crush on their phone in the lobby, they're still hearing this. It's going in. It's all being recorded, right? So there's a great subliminal kind of element to it. And if something catches their attention that they've even had a thought of wonder about Invisalign or about veneers or implants or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well,
they may perk up and listen to it. Mm-hmm.
And what I tell doctors is nothing is better than having a TV in there. In fact, we tell people don't put magazines in there, because you're competing at that point. You're competing for extra money. You're competing against the vacation, the new car. And if they see it in the magazine on a car, it's like, well, why don't you put your competition up?
Yeah. Right, exactly. So what's coming up for you? Like, what were the things that is that kind of a
It's very good. I mean, that's worth the price of admission, absolutely. But can I just tell you maybe some random,
of course,
FAQs, if you will? How's that? And just cut me off. I'm going to have to wait for you to cut me off. So if I get overboard, just tell me. But one of them is just this. I love Frank Kern's stuff and his concept and trying to implement some of them. But generically speaking, and you speak about it in some other places. The web, you've got AdWords, you've got all these Facebook and all sorts of things. If you were to spend time, and I did our own website through Squarespace, but if you were to spend time on that portion of it, where would you spend it? Is it worth doing all that stuff? And I think it sounds like your idea of a website is just pretty much a place to go learn information. How much?
Yeah, really. I mean, I look at the main thing that I'm looking for in a website is just the ability to get somebody to leave their name and email so I can communicate with them by email. That's far more valuable to me. And in a lot of ways, I don't even care if they come back to the website, Right. So, I mean, there's it's the most valuable thing is a list of people that you can communicate with, So the thing, you're talking about for your approaching dentists? Is that what you're saying? Like, what would be
I guess that might fall under the category of more traditional, quote unquote, marketing. I know the information. So if you send out and that would be my second, you send out some the I don't know what the equivalent of a carpet audit might be in my industry. But to do something like that, and then to continue to them, how to take better videos with your iPhone or things like that, and just get them to submit to the information. But how do you? I'm not even sure the right question. How do you go about doing that without selling it? Because I don't want to just send them a list and say, "Hey, HDIQ members, you've been members. Here's a new product," that sort of thing. That doesn't empower them.
Yeah, no, I think that part of it, you're in the same situation where you're dealing with a group of professionals that are a specific segment of the market, right? So I look at it that I know that I'm dealing with real estate agents that are visible. They're easy to identify. You've got visible prospects, dentists. But what you also have to then realize is what are the bankable results that you can deliver for somebody, right? Like, so I look at it in terms, I learned a great term called rudimentary medicine. Like, there's really only 5 or 6 core things that go wrong that are kind of the root cause of all disease. And what I look at in any business, I look at what's the bankable result here, as opposed to the mechanism, right? Like you're saying, how to do easy videos or how to do these kind of things, which are kind of training somebody how to do something, but you always have to say, so that what's the result that we can deliver? So if I just look at it, what every dentist in America who has an appetite for new patients, has the capacity to take on new patients, what they really want is just new patients in the chair ready to get their mouth looked at, right? That's what the dentist really wants, because that's what they went to school for. They don't want to learn how to shoot videos with their iPhone.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
So you look at it is like, and where your value as a service provider, as a consultant, as a advisor to them is in your ability to help them reach that end result in a way that doesn't require any of their time.
Right.
So I look at it with the real estate agents. I know that what they want is they want listings. They want somebody in their car looking to buy a home, and they'd love to get people to refer them those people as well, right? So I look at it and say, how can I, and how can you, in thinking this through, how can you provide a push-button way for somebody to just get a patient in the chair? That's what the dentists have an unlimited appetite for.
Yeah. And that's what rating room videos, again, I mean, we just need to market that, but it was designed from the ground up.
Well,
that
it
way to
certainly
make it
seems like
cheaper.
one thing. It seems like one where, for sure, once it's up and running, that it certainly has the ring of authenticity here. That it's certainly feasible if they're saying it's $179 a month. I've got this many patients coming through there every day, and if I just get one person to do, they're already doing that math. Like they're already calculating in their minds. Okay, this is less than 2% of my total revenue. It's a reasonable investment. There's a reasonable chance that I'll get a return on this. But when you've got documented proof of people getting a 20x return on this or a 10x return or whatever it is, that's really going to just push it over the top. And it may even get to a point where you can charge more money for it because it's more valuable.
Yeah, well, you're right.
When you've got proof that that's the way it works,
Yeah. One other question, if I have time, and that is,
yeah, sure.
This is more generically speaking. I think other people might have it, and maybe not. But I always, in the activators, you talk about people just don't ask for it. You've got to ask for either the referral or whatever. So you've got that on one side of the scale, and on the other side, you've got the you don't want to be educational based marketing. So as far as your call to actions, or as far as your messaging and any of your things, how do you balance that out? Do you start slow? Is it based on your list and progression, or?
Well, I think that you think things through in a way that is going to make it an easy next step.
Right.
What's the thing that's going to trigger somebody? When you look at the idea of what's going to how can we make it easy for somebody to take the next step? Often we kind of take an approach that we're waiting for other people to take the initiative.
Yeah, you're right.
And so we I often say we confuse, being nice with being a leader, and so we say, if you've got any questions or if there's any way I can help you, just please feel free to reach out, or,
That's the cookies.
That's right? The cookies, exactly. It's that same thing. So when you look at it, if there's an easy way for somebody, if you, instead of even, and you may test with this in the videos, but instead of just saying, but just ask us or whatever, if there's some way that maybe on the stand by the TV, there are maybe 5 little brochure boxes that have little cards about those specific things, right? Where people can pick up that card and go to that website and get a free report about this, or watch a video about it, or
that's good.
You know what I mean? If there's something like, just take some of the information and maybe that's integrated into the TV, that right in that environment there, that there's almost like an info box.
So if you were going to have a conversation, you're going to call a dentist in Winter Haven and say, hey, I just want to either show you this, or I want to drop one by for free and let you try it for 30 days. How does that conversation go? How do you get past Susie at the front desk?
Well, I think that's a great question, because I've had some experience in that. That there's another company that was doing, they had postcard campaigns to help doctors get cosmetic patients. Right. And they were trying to get past the gatekeeper. That's the biggest thing. At the front desk isn't going to let you talk to the doctor, because they're saying, well, who's calling? Well, it's this from Acme postcards or whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. So immediately they see you as somebody trying to take money out of the business.
Right.
And this is a pretty profound thought, but every person on every level of any company is 100% authorized to bring money into the business.
Right.
So if you are looking, if you're opening that relationship there, if you're opening this thing where you're truly going to put this into somebody's office, and you're looking even for the test studies where you'll set it up for free for them for a period of time to see what's happening. That now you're in a situation where you're going to be bringing money into the office instead of taking money out of the office, right? And so I had them talk about reposition themselves as a dental referral service, where they're going to send out the postcards and pay for it, and then deliver people to the doctor for a referral fee or for a fee for performance. So the approach was that does Dr. Johnson do cosmetic surgery or cosmetic dentistry? Yes, he does. Is he accepting new patients? Yes, he is. Well, perfect. We're a dental referral service. We're looking to refer patients to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking with Dr. Truitt, and we're talking with Dr. Odom, and we'd love to talk with Dr. Johnson. Now it's like the receptionist is seeing this as she's going to get to introduce this to the dentist and maybe get the reflected glory of it by I talked that she's going to put your note on the top of the pile and make sure that you get, did you talk to these people about this, she's an advocate because she sees it as she's going to get that employee of the month parking spot,
for bringing that. That's genius. And then, so where are we a year from the road once we've got some studies that I'm talking to Dr. Truitt, I'm talking to Dr. Smith about. Now we're not, it's a little bit harder. We're not offering to do it for free.
Mm-hmm. But now you've got proven evidence that you've got $179 a month that turns into $28,000 or $58,000 or $128,000, whatever it is. You don't even know yet. You don't know what it is.
So you may just follow up by saying
completely undervaluing it.
Yeah. So what do you say to that reception? I can totally see we're talking with so and so about doing this, but what's that next sentence, Dean? That's the key question. What's that next sentence after? Mm-hmm. And I hear what you're saying. You're becoming an advocate for the practice.
Yeah. Right.
But how
do you what we're doing. We've got, and especially for your 10 here, right? Yeah. You've got a way. You probably already know them. You've got enough equity built with 10 dentists that you could get in. So you're not even going to have to go cold to those dentists, right? But when you do, it's like if you've got evidence that putting this in these 10 offices is a 20x ROI, you know that's what's going to happen, that now you could go into a situation where you say, look, we come in, we put it in for free now your offer becomes better because you've got much more confidence in it. Right? Yeah. I mean, just even in the last episode that we did of More Cheese, Less Whiskers, the concept that I talked about on there was, that clarifying question of what would you do if you only got paid if your client gets the result? And so most of the time when you're just starting out and you don't know, of course it's difficult because now you're trying to just convince people without evidence to do something.
Right.
It's so much easier to convince with, beyond a reasonable doubt that this works,
Yeah.
and it's now you feel much more confident that you can make a better offer.
Yeah.
You can say, listen, we'll put it in. Yeah, we'll do it for 90 days and see what happens.
Yeah. That's probably my own psyche talking why I don't like that part of the business, because when you say we've got a 20x return, my BS flag goes up a little bit, and I know that probably,
unless but if you do, like I know with my real estate stuff, I know I have evidence that we've got, because we track it just like this, I'm sharing with you,
Yeah, and that is the takeaway. It sounds like for me, and probably for others, is to get the evidence. Evidence-based medicine. They love that. Evidence-based.
Yes.
Products.
I mean, they're already buying it. They're already buying it without any evidence because it sounds like it makes sense. But now, when you really show what it can do, that's going to be a great thing. You may be able to double your price.
Well, I'm sure they'll love hearing that.
No, I'm saying, that the ones who were the early adopters, they get the benefit of it. But when you've got this thing, it's like they're buying money at a discount, What's the difference between $179 and $379 if it is going to get them a 10x return on that? Yeah. The 10x on their $379. I mean, where's the reasonable number? What's the number that if you went into a dentist and said, hey, look, I'm going to get you a 5x return on this, guaranteed.
Oh, everybody would take that, and you'd be foolish not to.
Of course they would. So if you know that you can get a 10x or more, I mean, which isn't very much, right? I mean, $2,100, if we're talking about some of these things that one cosmetic case, like you said, could be $10,000 if it's veneers, could be, $40,000 if it's full, full crowns.
I mean, it's an easy, and I know where you're going with it too, is then you can go in and you can say, I'll guarantee a 5x and fully expect a 20x or whatever it is.
Exactly.
It's evidence.
That's the whole thing. That's exactly right.
Well, I'll make you a deal. I will check back with you with some numbers on that, and I don't know what 6 months or a year or whatever it is, but I will this week and into next week find me some 10 guys that I'm going to put this in, 10 women or men offices, and just start collecting the data. I think that's significant.
Important.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I enjoyed sharing with you. That's been it was fun.
It was fun, and again, I appreciate all your patience in doing that. And I hope other people who listen to this can certainly take something from it, because I know we did your was it the 9-word email a while back ago, a long time ago, and it's amazing how well that worked. In fact, I've tried to find a way to indoctrinate that into my customers with HDIQ and saying to them, I don't know what that would be. Are you still looking to put patients? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to come up with that question, I think, sometimes. But it clearly works. So
awesome. And there we have it. Another episode of More Cheese, Less Whiskers. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can download the More Cheese, Less Whiskers book at morecheeselesswhiskers.com. If you'd like to get a book out into the world in the simplest, easiest, fastest way possible, go to 90minutebook.com and download a copy of the 90-minute book, and we can help you get your book out into the world. That's it for this time. Talk to you next time.